If you are someone who has a lot of money wrapped up in Disney stock, or if you're an executive at Disney, or if you're just someone with ideological reasons to support the company, the following pronouncement may be a bit difficult to hear. As such, I'd like to offer my preemptive condolences.
Save your pity for the weak.
That's literally what I was doing. But anyway, this is the pronouncement. The MCU, which was a long-time cash cow for Disney, has transformed into a cash vacuum.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
Does anyone out there remember these videos from your favorite space pirate? In them, I discussed how the MCU has devolved into a shell of itself that relies on gimmicks to sell movie tickets rather than producing entertaining stories. And remember how I said this practice was going to catch up with them?
You were right. Tell your sister. You were right.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell more than just my sister. I'm going to shout this through a freaking megaphone to everyone, because once again, there's evidence that I was correct. In this video, we're going to look at the massive box office drop-off which afflicted Doctor Strange 2 this past weekend. And then we're going to look at the apparent black hole of popularity surrounding the recent Disney Plus series featuring Moon Knight.
Who?
Exactly. And then we'll finish the video off taking a look at the brand new She-Hulk trailer that just dropped, and we'll discuss the obviously bleak future of the MCU.
Bitch. You don't have a future.
But don't forget to tell me what you think. Is the MCU perishing right before our very eyes? Or do you disagree with your dear old captain? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below and we'll talk it over. Yes, it's very possible the MCU apologists will hate me for making my argument, but let's try to be civil, shall we? So pour one out for the once mighty MCU and arm yourself up with your favorite anti-zombie tools.
This is my boomstick!
Because it seems clear to me that the MCU has devolved into an undead husk which needs putting down.
Jesus Christ!
I enjoyed the original Doctor Strange movie so much that I ignored my instincts and I actually went to this film in the theaters. And I have to say, that was a mistake, because it wasn't very good. In fact, it was just this side of complete shit, despite the work of the fantastic Benedict Cumberbatch and Sam Raimi. And it seems like I'm not the only one who feels this way. In order to see what I mean, let's take a look at this article from the website That Park Place, titled Doctor Strange Drops. The media awakens to Marvel's problems. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is on track to drop 67 to 68% in its second weekend.
Owie!
Yeah, that one's got a sting. Those numbers are similar to the drop-off of the second weekend for The Last Jedi, another movie where people had crazy high expectations. In that instance, word of mouth made people stop going to it and the box office imploded to the point that the film limped to the finish line, and the franchise of Star Wars never fully recovered. But let's dig further into this story. The article reads, Spider-Man No Way Home dropped a similar amount in its second Friday compared with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That was the excuse many in the media were going with earlier, but they've largely given up on that attempt. Nobody is buying it, and people quickly figured out that Spider-Man No Way Home's second Friday happened on Christmas Eve, a day uniquely suited for parents not leaving the house for obvious reasons. So they, the Disney shills in the media that is, had to find a different way to defend Doctor Strange. After all, it's part of Marvel's push into a new socio-cultural phase of the MCU that Victoria Alonso and Kevin Feige want to see. Remember when I said earlier that it seems to me the MCU is banking on gimmicks in order to sell their product these days? This is what I'm referring to. For anyone who hasn't seen my previous videos on this topic, basically, I just like to compare modern MCU to the comic book Marvel of the 90s. Back then, rather than tell good stories, they'd make flashy holographic covers and they'd reboot books to issue 1 in order to entice people to read. They just didn't feel the need to focus on story.
Oh, no. That was not smart. That was not smart.
Back then, Marvel alienated readers, and now Marvel is alienating viewers, this time focusing on a character's immutable characteristics in order to tempt people to watch their content, but then pulling the rug out from underneath them by not bothering to write a good story. As an example, half the plot of Shang-Chi and all of the marketing seem to focus on the fact that the character is Asian.
I don't give a rat's ass.
They did the same thing with Captain Marvel, instead focusing on the fact that the character is a female. The majority of the projects in Phase 4 of the MCU are more concerned with what's between a character's legs rather than what's in their hearts, and this is a damn shame. But let's not get too sidetracked. The article continues. It turns out, however, that it's getting harder and harder to defend what is happening with Disney's Marvel movies in Phase 4. The new way to defend Doctor Strange is this little line. And then the article shows us a tweet put out by one of our blue checkmark bettors, which says, Box office, Multiverse of Madness grabs $61 million this weekend for a domestic total of $291.9 million. It has now passed the entire domestic gross of films like the original Doctor Strange, Venom, Logan, Captain America the Winter Soldier, next up, Iron Man 2.
I'm so happy for you.
Yes, we get it. Doctor Strange 2 made a ton of money off of people with high expectations. What that fails to mention is that Doctor Strange 2 likely needs $750 million to earn a profit, and just dropped more than even we could have imagined. How bad exactly is the drop? How about it's worse than the Eternals? How bad exactly is the drop? It's on par, though probably higher, than Black Widow, which was a movie simultaneously available on streaming, which drove some to watch it at home. Yet, Doctor Strange isn't available at home. It isn't facing any competition whatsoever. And this isn't Christmas Eve. There is no other reason for Doctor Strange to collapse other than interest collapsing. For those of you who have watched this channel for a while, you know that I like to use Google Trends to analyze the popularity of various topics. For those who don't know, it's a service you can use to see how much a search term is typed in on Google. It does a great job of showcasing interest. It doesn't give us raw numbers of times that something was searched up, but it lets us compare search terms to one another to see how popular terms are relative to others. Or, in the case of Moon Knight, it shows us how unpopular the term is. This chart showcases Moon Knight. This first mountain of popularity occurred when the trailer came out in January, and this spike here is when the show released on Disney+. As you can see, it tapered off afterwards. Now, let's compare the show to Hawkeye, one of the lower tier Marvel shows from last year. The Hawkeye show is represented by the red line, and as you can see, there is no comparison. The interest in Moon Knight is walloped by Hawkeye. At its peak, Moon Knight reaches only 17% of Hawkeye's peak interest. That is cataclysmically awful.
That's gotta hurt.
It gets even worse when you compare Hawkeye and Moon Knight to Loki. Hawkeye is barely over 50% of the interest generated by Loki at their respective peaks, and Moon Knight is less than 10%. Interest in the MCU is waning. It's just embarrassing when you compare these shows to an actually popular show like Netflix's Ozark. In order to get a feel for whether or not Marvel's future is gonna change, let's watch the trailer that just dropped for the upcoming She-Hulk show on Disney+. I think you'll get a kick out of its absolute cringiness.
Being a superhero is a trial by fire. Who's gonna protect the world if not people like you?
I'm Jennifer Walters. I'm a lawyer. I have great friends.
Can we get some shots, please? It's an emergency.
A demanding job.
We just started a superhuman law division, and I want you to be the face of it.
And a frustrating family.
Cause we didn't ask for this, but you still gotta deal with it. Your transformations are triggered by anger and fear.
Those are like the baseline of any woman just existing.
What is wrong with you?
Seriously, why does Disney feel the need to do this? Why can't they make movies anymore without referencing the immutable characteristics of its characters absolutely constantly? They used to tell stories that brought folks together, different kinds of folks. It didn't matter what you looked like. Stories like The Lion King or The Rocketeer, where we didn't obsess over the things that make us different. Now, Disney is a company of division and hatred, and I can scarcely tolerate any line that comes out of their characters' mouths.
Oh. Bruce, kind of feels like if I don't transform, I'm gonna die.
Yes, yes, yes. No, no.
I just want to be a normal, anonymous lawyer.
Can you tell us where She-Hulk is? Jen, you're a story now. Girl, your ass looks crazy right now.
You see, this is why. This is why we can't have nice things.
One of two things is true here. Either people don't actually talk like this to each other in real life, in public, and that line is as pathetically unrealistic as it sounds to my ears, or people do talk like that, and it's time to start actively hoping for a meteor shower to come hurtling down on us and cleanse the planet of our absolute peak stupidity.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
You could be an Avenger.
Oh, I'm not a superhero. That is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans for some reason. Is there anything more depressing than dating in your 30s?
Yeah, this is the best date I've had in a while.
Oh.
Should we split some fries?
Let's get those to go.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
If you ever wanted proof that Disney hates you, look no further. They're actively trolling us right here with the buff dude cradled in She-Hulk's arms like a baby. This is possibly the most emasculating imagery imaginable. Even worse is the fact that this woman is partaking in hookup culture, which, as a happily married father, seems extremely unfitting for a superhero, someone we're supposed to look up to. I'll grant you that when we first met Tony Stark, he was the sort of guy who fooled around, but it didn't take him long before he realized this was a character flaw, and he became much more wholesome. I'm not a prude or anything, do what you want to do, but I don't look up to people like that. All that said, if this is the direction and quality that we can expect from the Disney Plus shows, then we can expect more of this. The popularity of the shows will continue to dwindle, and Disney Plus itself will continue to remain wildly unprofitable. But what do you think? Will Doctor Strange rebound and climb to $1 billion box office haul, or will it continue to falter? Will the MCU Disney Plus shows continue their downward trend? Or will shows like She-Hulk bring them back from the brink, despite the fact that the trailer was absolute dog shit? Let me know in the comments. As for me, I have one thing to say to the brainlets at the MCU.
Death comes for us all.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.